So we're now going to hear from Marina Terragni. She's from Italy. She is one of the country contacts for Women's Declaration International in Italy. Marina is a writer, journalist, and teacher. She's founder of RUA, which is an organization against surrogacy, and RadFem Italy and magazine online Feminist Post. Thank you so much, and over to you, Marina.
I will start with the effect that struck me very much, and I don't know how many of us have noticed it. Keira Bell's judgment in UK was a sensational judgment because Keira won. Since that moment, the policies of the Tavistock Clinic have been criticized. Well, that day, the news about Keira were blacked out all over the world. Even if that was a formidable turning point on question of transition and puberty blockers. The day after Keira Bell's judgment, media around the world broke the news of the transition of American actress Ellen Page, who became Elliot. Page's transition was literally celebrated as a major global event. On the other hand, no one spoke of the transitional Keira. The coincidence struck me a lot. I thought they knew that Keira's judgment was coming, and they were getting ready for the day to throw Page's bomb. Things can only have gone in this way. The transition industry hit hard in London, relaunched itself with a formidable act of marketing in Hollywood. This confirms that the trans-activist lobby is incredibly powerful and global. Every time you see it in action, you are breathless. We fight with our bare hands. A lot of money moves trans industry. Jennifer Bilek's excellent work has given us insight into the trans industry, but such power is really incredible. It's confirmed too that mainstream mass media system is one of the main players in this business. We know that newspapers are in serious difficulty. The diffusion of newspapers suffers greatly from the advent of the web, and so the weight of advertising in budgets is increasingly important. A friend who runs a newspaper that expresses gender critical position told me that he had lost many advertisers because of this position gender critical, particularly in the fashion world, a sector that is very important in Italy. Whenever an article, even timidly gender critical, appears in the newspaper or in television, the trans activist male bombing starts. A great advertising expert, Alberto Contri, who we interviewed for our online magazine Feminist Post, explained this very well. We asked Alberto Contri why the media are so attentive to the interest of the LGBT plus minority. He replies, the community continues to be a minority of the population, but it is no longer a minority in the control rooms of the media, the boards of directors of large companies, in international political bodies, or wherever significant decisions are made. These groups have the necessary power to block unwanted news or vice versa, to disseminate news that is considered useful, to establish quotas in large companies, to agree on internal codes of conduct, and so on. Today's mainstream panders to GBTQ market. It is the directive to companies from Accenture, which is a big consulting and marketing company, and many other companies of that type. In the beginning, gender equality was understood as equality between women and men, and companies were advised to show sensitivity to the issue. Today, however, the concept of equality and inclusiveness has been extended to the whole cauldron of what is called gender. The idea that has been imposed is that this is the real trend, while women are an old target that is no longer worth pursuing. What's more, if you cause trouble, you are called transphobic, and this produce conformity and the fear of saying what do you really think. Giuseppe Minoi, another big expert, honorary president of Eurisco, one of the most authoritative social researchers in Italy, says, the media's objective is not to mirror reality, but increasingly to put weak signals under a magnifying glass to amaze, to surprise, and be the first to report new behavior and attitudes. But the media are not just storytellers. They are opinion makers. They are influencers. They are capable of transforming a weak signal into a strong one. There is a conviction that what is new and surprising and shocking sells more and sells better. And this conviction is influencing products, communication, society, politics, ideas in all vital spheres. This has nothing to do with the defense or right of minorities. So it's very important we learn to move in this youth business, above all by boycotting and making male campaigns and other protest initiatives against misogynistic companies and media. If a company or a newspaper receive even just 100 protest email, the general alarm sounds. The power of these actions should not be underestimated. In Italy, we experienced this when the major national newspaper, Corriere della Sera, began to use the term TERF to define radical feminists. We start with an immediate mail bombing, and the term TERF has been banned. 100 emails are enough to trigger the alarm. Second, the youngest girls and boys are the main target of transactivist propaganda. We must put a great effort to communicate with them. We must snatch them from the transactivists. We must convince them that being born women is a fortune and not a disgrace. It is not the burning house from which they must escape. We must resume the fight against gender stereotypes, convince them that they can be free to live as they prefer to live, that they don't have to buy their freedom from the trans industry market. To do this, we have to entrust the management of social media to girls who are smarter than us, who know Instagram and TikTok codes better than we do, who know how to use the right arguments to involve younger girls. For example, sexuality, which today is literally devastated by pornography and is a big problem. And then, of course, we need to equip ourselves with autonomous media. We did it with the Feminist Post, a gender critical magazine online that has become a real information agency on these issues, to which journalists can access to find news that they would not find anywhere. In conclusion, you may remember the Times sensational poll in which 94% of UK citizens spoke out against self-ID. We must never lose the trust that the vast majority of our fellow citizens are gender critical. The compact lineup of the mainstream media can deceive and make us feel like a minority. We are not a minority, and we must work to break this wall of silence. In Italy, we experienced the so-called Zambil, which would open the way for self-ID. We were the only contrary voice in the general silence. We had no chance of win. Instead, the Zambil fell. The war is not over, but the battle has been won. A time is working in our favor. How did we do it? First of all, not being afraid. Then loving the truth, beginning lovers of truth. Truth is on our side. We have to convince ourselves that we are not a minority at all. This is very important. Feeling the vanguard of a majority that has no voice gives a lot of strength. Again, networking with all the sisters and friends in the world who are engaged in the same battle, and trying to break the silence of the media. For example, we carried out a crowdfunding poll on the model of the time. We showed that most Italians are opposing to self-ID and puberty blocker for children. Then we gave this poll to a newspaper, which was attractive because it was free. They don't pay for it, and published it. A great debate has finally opened here. We did a real training activity for politicians too, who learned from us many things they didn't know and used them. Another thing is necessary learning how to build news so that they grab attention and cannot be ignored by the media. I'll give you an example. As we all know, the question of males in women's sport is absolutely grotesque. The so-named Leah Thomas recently won a swimming competition again. So Fabrizio Petrillo in Italy, but the sport newspapers are silent. They are afraid to break the silence. We need the kind of Me Too of athletes. A whole team that refuse to compete, for example. It's very difficult to convince the athletes to do it, but sooner or later we will have to get there. In short, we must be able to transform our struggles in something which cannot be ignored by the media. If you break the silence, it is an avalanche that brings down the wall. Good news finally. Caroline Hardman, English literary agent, has tweeted the editors are now contacting her because they are interested in acquiring gender critical feminist text. How times have changed, she commented. Another good news, incredibly, just a few days ago, the New York Times admitted that there is a serious problem of freedom of expression in the USA. Despite the tolerance and the reasoning of modern society, they say, Americans are losing control of a main right as citizens of a free country to be able to say what they think and to express their opinions in public without fear of being infamous or isolated. It must be said that the New York Times has been one of the main promoters of no debate and cancel culture, and that some journalists have resigned in recent years due to this inability to express freely. And so I believe the times for us, gender critical journalists and gender critical women are improving. Truth is with us, and I am very optimistic.